Hi everyone, welcome. I'm down here in my wormery, and as you can see, there's a system over here on the bench that's a little bit out of place. What we've got here is the outdoor worm bag that we decided to bring indoors 13 days ago. It was in anticipation of some really cool wintry weather approaching, and the whole idea was that keeping the system warm is one way to keep the system active. And by keeping them active, obviously, I'm referring to having them working on disposing of my kitchen scraps and household waste. So I've got an assortment of cucumber and cantaloupe and tomatoes here for them. A nice juicy frozen meal that we're going to give them. And it seems like they're probably going to appreciate it, because the last time we came in here 13 days ago, like I said, it was to bring the system down into the wormery from outside. And at that time, we gave them a little something to eat, but it wasn't much. It was really just a little bit of my worm chow. And then I wondered, well, okay, the feeding prior to that, 8 days ago, 8 days prior, which is now 21 days ago, 3 weeks. At that time, I gave them a banana peel and a peach. And, the banana and peach probably went well for a little while. But then that worm chow I sprinkled in 13 days ago and whatever might have been left of the peach and banana peel have probably been worked down considerably. So I've got my spray bottle here. I don't know why, but I've got this feeling like the system would benefit from moisture, but it doesn't even feel all that bad. The plywood covering and the fact that in between this grow bag that you see here and the one that's outside of it, because it's a double bag, it's almost a triple bag really, because in between the two grow bags I've got a plastic bag. So this thing is actually very well protected from drying and evaporation, much more so than it seems. So it was just a little bit deceiving to me every time I would walk by this thing and I would just see, gaps around the plywood covering. And just the fact that I could see that it's a fabric bag kept making me think that the system might be drying out over here. And that's why I was getting a little bit anxious. I was glad that I was able to make time for this system and that we're checking in on it today. But I could already tell just from, touching the material. We've pulled away some of this drier leafy matter out on the surface, but what's right under it is pretty nice stuff. Got some nice moisture content to it, so there's really no reason for concern. I don't know, it's just so dry in my house with the heat running, the furnace on, that I just want to err on the side of caution, make sure none of my systems get overly dried out as a result of the very arid air in the house, If the system was still outside, then it would, benefit from the moisture in the air outside. But it would also be subject to very, very chilly nighttime temperatures. I mean, in the next few days, too, coming up this week, there's a couple nights when it's going to be 10, 12 degrees below freezing. And I'm sure the worms would do fine. They would manage. But I figure having them down here in the wormery, where it's much, much warmer and more comfortable, they could probably get a lot more work done. So here I believe we're actually bumping into some leftovers of that banana peel put in here 3 weeks ago. It does seem like they put a pretty good dent in it because it is very thin, like they've nibbled a lot of the material off of it. And the stem itself starting to soften up, but still holding up pretty good. I bet if we were to rip it open, yeah, you could see the worms love getting down into that banana stem. And I would have to guess that after 3 weeks the peach has to have been eaten. And if it has, then the peach pit will come out. But you know what? I think this little mound right here has got to be that. I don't know what else it could be. I could feel the pit inside, so this is actually the remains of a peach that was put in here 3 weeks ago. Wow. I really expected them to have done away with more of it. I mean, there's certainly not much remaining. And look at this. Uh-oh. Well, this little guy, I believe, is going to have to go outside. Because it's a black soldier fly And, you know, I don't want to have black soldier flies being born down here in the wormery. This little guy will go outside into the freezing cold, and it'll just sort of go into a catatonic state and survive the winter. And once the weather becomes favorable again, it'll resume growth and continue its transformation into a fly. For this little guy, I'm going to grab a little transport container over here and walk this guy out to the compost barrel and let him continue there. So, surprising. I wasn't quite sure what to expect as far as leftovers of the banana peel and the peach after 3 weeks. They're both holding up pretty good, but I think even more surprising than that was encountering the black soldier fly larva. So, I think we'll do a quick lap around the bin and examine the outer edges too. But since we've excavated the center to see how the feeding zone was progressing, and since we've got this nice pile of collected leaves and everything over here on the side, and we can even expand this collection just by gathering some of the additional stuff we just excavated, we got a real nice foundational bedding that we could use to place beneath the yummy foods that we're going to be giving them. And since it is a fair bit of material, I'm just going to go all the way right down to the bottom of the bag so we have plenty of space to pile this stuff into. I mean, you can see there's bedding type materials all over the place, although this doesn't quite, yeah, it is. It's a leaf. A big, huge leaf. So, yeah. It just looks so big, I thought it was a banana peel. And here's another one, definitely holding up to, holding up to the ravages of the worm bin. But eventually all this stuff will start breaking down nicely, and I think it's because of the presence of so much leafy matter in here that I feel like adding new bedding to the system is completely unnecessary at the present time. So my idea was to just reuse the bedding that we've got and then add to the food supply. Because those leftovers of the banana peel and the peach pit and what little bit of peach is still on there certainly isn't much, so I think this is pretty good timing. Alright, look at this nice juicy meal. Yum yum. Black soldier fly larvae is probably jealous that he's not getting any of this delicious food. But there's always good stuff out in my compost barrel too. I mean, the best stuff is always saved and brought down here into the wormery. But pretty good assortment of stuff ends up out there too, so I just don't think it's going to be a very productive feeding session for the little black soldier fly larvae as the temperatures drop, because they're just going to go dormant. So let's see. Yeah, I think we're in good shape here, right? We've got little bits of remnant bedding type materials floating around here and there that we can even bring in now to help cover up the yummy foods that we just laid in, and then we'll be done. But you know what, before we get this feeding zone exceedingly covered, right now while it's still basically bedding materials and food, I think this is a good time to come in with a little bit of extra moisture, because even though the material feels pretty comfortable, it feels to me like we could definitely make it more comfortable for them by making it a little bit more damp. And then I think even as we go around really quick to take a lap around the system, to take a peek at how things look on the outskirts, we'll have a chance to decide whether the material out there looks worm friendly or does it too need a shot of moisture. I mean, the fact that there's worms in it is a pretty good sign. So here you can see every handful seems to have some worms in it. Although, sometimes I feel like I'm stacking the deck for kind of a loaded result when I do this, because I just sort of excavated the center of the bin where all the feedings have been and where you would expect the majority of the worms to be hanging out. So, all that disruption down the middle would naturally cause the worms to go elsewhere, which is out to the outer edges. So I shouldn't act too surprised that I'm finding worms out here on the outer edges, but I do believe that the material out here is damp enough and comfortable enough that it's probably a-okay for the wormies. So nevertheless, we've added a bit more, and I think that's only a good thing. So let's see about leaving the majority of this material stuck to my glove in the worm bag. And now, at least I've got a little bit of peace of mind that says, you know, these little guys are doing okay from a moisture perspective, and now even after having minimal feeding opportunities over the past 3 weeks, now we've given them a nice juicy treat of fruits and veggies, so hopefully they'll appreciate that. So let's leave it at that. That's it for the check-in with the, now, what is it, 187 day system? Doing really nice. And pretty soon we'll probably be moving them into a bin as well. Getting them out of this bag into a system where we can kind of arrange a migration of the worms out of their lovely castings. But that's going to be a little bit down the road. We got some bedding material here for them to work down still. And I'm in no rush, you know. There's other systems older than this that are going to be due for harvest and worm migration. So this system's going to continue just as a regular composting system down here in the wormery, either in the bag or in a bin at some point in the near future. So that's it for the video, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.